Revelation 1502. From the 3rd and the 4th of July 1940. Spirit, mind. Function of the body. Spirit from God. Without the gift of inner enlightenment you go through earth life ignorantly. You certainly believe to be knowing, because you are equipped with intellect and reason by the eternal Creator, but can only use it in the earthly sense, as long as you do not ask God for enlightenment of the Spirit. Therefore spirit and intellect are not the same. Man can use his intellect without having awakened his spirit in him. Through his intellectual thinking he can achieve greatest earthly successes and still walk in deepest darkness of spirit. And likewise a spirit awakened to life can be extraordinarily active in man so that it is also recognizable outwardly, and intellectual thinking certainly does not need to be used. Men can now express himself exceedingly wisely, that is bring great knowledge to the knowledge of fellow men, for which no special intellectual work was necessary. So well-developed intellect is not absolutely necessary to be receptive for divine wisdoms. Often even the human intellect is a hindrance for the reception of spiritual knowledge, because this wants to penetrate unhindered into the heart of man, but meets with resistance with only intellectual thinking, because earthly wisdom always strives towards divine wisdom, as long as man does not recognize the awakened Spirit of God as giver of wisdom. What the Spirit out of God teaches man does not need intellect, however for the utilization of that taught by the Spirit of God also human intellect must be active. Then man must use the gift of God, and therefore all abilities given to him are only of use for the higher education of the soul. Then these are applied according to the will of God. The intellect has been given to man to think about his earth existence and its purpose and its actual destiny. But it is least used for this. All intellectual thinking mostly revolves around earthly problems. Every mental activity is meant for the improvement of earth life, and therefore then intellect alone is in activity, but the Spirit out of God is not yet at work. Its work is only the result of human efforts to research spiritual areas, and again deep desire for truth and knowledge about the eternal divine must underlie these efforts, but these researches are not undertaken for the sake of earthly advantage. The Spirit out of God is by no means perceptible to man who is only interested in earthly problems. The latter claims his intellectual thinking, that is the function of his body to work, which just again only appears to be beneficial to the body. And this function is now carried out completely according to the will of man, while so the Spirit out of God is at work, when it is a matter of solving spiritual problems. The human will is only involved insofar as it leaves itself to the divine Spirit. But now the Spirit out of God orders the thoughts, therefore directs the mental activity towards right recognition. Man is therefore willing to make use of a power, which does not come to him unconsciously. And he himself must bring this power to development in him through active love. Activity. He can therefore increase his intellectual thinking, and that with the guarantee of full truthfulness of that, what is result of his thinking, while the activity of thinking alone is no security for absolute truth. Therefore man has it in his own hand to increase his knowledge considerably, always with the guarantee to get it imparted truthfully, if he not only lets the intellect, but also the heart speak. Because the divine Spirit spark in him can only be awakened emotionally, and this feeling, which must be cultivated to awaken the Spirit of God, is love. Without being active in love, the awakening of the Spirit of God is impossible, therefore pure truth and increased knowledge will always be the result of an extremely active love activity. Spirit and intellect will therefore only then be able to work together when the researching man has already shaped his nature to love, and now research is meant for the solving of spiritual problems, although also then earthly thought activity is likewise directed by the Spirit of God, and therefore then also truth is guaranteed. Amen.